Good morning, everybody. It's a absolutely beautiful day out today. It's a little later than I usually start. It's just before 10 o'clock. I'm 2 laps into my warm-up lap. I normally stop here. See it? I don't know where he is now. There he is. There is a gentleman mowing the grass where I normally do my run, and that's fine. I can stay out of his way. The issue I'm having right now is I put my phone down in the grass at the midpoint so I can keep my Bluetooth attached and hear my music while I'm exercising. So I'm going to do another lap or two, and hopefully he'll be past where I'm going to exercise and I can get to my workout. It is a frigid 81 degrees right now, so I am a little sweaty already, but I'm excited to be here. So just a little bit of a warning, this video may be a little longer than my normal short videos. I had a amazing week. I was on vacation all this week. Did a lot of great things. I went to see a lot of movies. I went on different nature walks and found new places to work out and really enjoyed. I went to a car show on Sunday, a local car show, but it was small, maybe 20-30 cars, but man, was it put together well. It was at the Poughkeepsie Town Hall this Sunday, and apparently it's going to be a yearly thing, so I'll have to keep an eye out for it. But I just had a great time. I got to see some cars that meant a lot to me in my past. I personally own a 1940 Ford that belonged to my father, and I got to sit in it. The gentleman who owned the car was very welcoming. He let me check out the car. He let my son sit in it. He let my girlfriend sit in it. You know, it took me back to when I was a little kid. You know, not so much that I ever drove in my father's Ford, but I used to sit in it and imagine that I could. So that was a very emotional thing for me. So it was nice, and like I said, I got to see other cars that I loved, and things whether they brought me back to my past or just made me think about the potential of having something like that someday. You know, it's always been a hope, a dream to have a couple of different cars that I have in mind. So anyway, that was Sunday. Sunday morning, excuse me. But as some of you already know, I did an interview with Dave Mack on his podcast on Sunday. I just want to, take a minute and thank Dave Mack. You know, he's a true gentleman. He gave me an opportunity and saw something in my story, and he was the first one to do so, and gave me the platform to kind of tell my carnivore story, and you know, the different things that led up to getting into my diet, the different pain that I had in my life, the different, health circumstances that some that should have terrified me and didn't, and some that terrified me that I'm glad they did. But the podcast was an amazing experience, and beyond just the dealing with a gentleman like Dave Mack, who, like I said, opened his proverbial doors to me and gave me an opportunity to spread my message across a much broader spectrum than I can with my small channel. Through his podcast, my channel's receiving a lot more attention, and I've said a million times, I don't do it for that. I do this for me. This is my way of keeping myself in check, motivating myself, and keeping track of my routine, my workout, and holding myself accountable. But I'd like to get the message out there. Whether it's carnivore or just the fact that we can get out there and do these things. I say it all the time. I'm 49 years old. I swam a little bit in high school, and then didn't exercise much until I was like 37. And then I had a year or two where I was really trying hard to get in shape, and because I picked the wrong style of eating, I don't like to use the word diet. I used the wrong style of eating. and it never got rid of my carb addiction. You know, after a while, your addiction wins. You know, especially if you don't kiss it goodbye. You know, you got to walk away from it. And I ended up back at the same 275 pounds ultimately, and very sick. So, by the way, for those of you who joined from the podcast that I did with Dave Mack, thank you very much. You reinvigorated my hope that I'm reaching people and that I'm maybe influencing some people to either make changes or stay in the fight. You know, for a lot of us, this carnivore is a last-ditch effort to get healthy again. You know, whether it's to cure a severe illness or disease that we have already, or if it's we got the word from a doctor that an illness or a metabolic problem is sneaking up on us and we're in this fight to stop it. You know, I'm hoping that I'm motivating people to get out there and get in the fight, however you choose to do it. If it's carnivore, I applaud you, and I'm on your team. If you have another option that's available to you that works for your lifestyle, hey, more power to you. You know, I have my beliefs in why I do carnivore. I hope the path you choose brings you the success that I've had. And if it doesn't, take a look at carnivore. Everybody that I know that's done it, everybody that I've influenced to do it, everybody I hear about that's doing it, has had borderline miraculous response to this way of eating. So, that being said, to everybody who just signed on and started subscribing, welcome to Lion's Den. I can't explain to you how much it means to me that you guys, you know, searched me out and subscribed to my channel. If you don't know my style, ultimately, I live life on a budget. You know, I have a very good job. I earn a decent living, but times are tough for everybody right now. So I am doing this diet in that respect. Hopefully for other people who think it's too expensive to do and are afraid to make the leap, they think it's going to cost too much. There are times where I'm the only one in my house doing carnivore because I do it. It's a permanent lifestyle change for me. Other people in my house, like my girlfriend, will do it as a quick fix for a couple of pounds she wants to lose, if we're going to a party, or if we're going to a wedding or something like that. And if she starts to feel like her eating has changed and she wants to feel a little healthier, she'll do it for a month here and a month there. My son leans more towards ketovore. When he's at my house, he eats carnivore because you can't find a vegetable in my house. I don't bring them in. I don't believe in them. I don't, from what my understanding, I'm not a highly educated man, but my understanding is the nutrients that we think we're getting from vegetables are not there. Well, they're there, but they're not available to us. And, well, to be honest with you, I know it, unless you're going completely organic, which my budget does not allow. And even if you are going organic, I feel like the soil is damaged on this planet at this point. So you're probably taking in more poisons than you recognize. Now that could be said true for meat as well. I'm sure there are things in meat from the way I'm not buying organic meat. It's not grass-fed and grass-finished. I'm buying what I can afford to buy. But on the flip side of that, I know that my body is receiving the nutrients that meat has to offer. I hope to someday be able to make a connection or to find some place that has organic meat that I can afford. And I would love to make that switch and be 100%. But I'm not going to trade in good for perfect. If I make that jump too soon and I can't afford to maintain it, it may wreck my progress or my mindset. So I have to make sure my ducks are in a row before I go that route. So, again, back to my point. I tend to wander. I apologize. I want to keep this budget friendly. I'm a regular guy. I work a third shift. That's my shift every day of the week. I'm off on the weekends. I have a divorce in my past. I'm in a loving relationship with my girlfriend. I have my son. Most weekends, now he's 19 years old, he can spend more time with me if he chooses to, or less time if he chooses to. Thankfully, we have a great relationship, and he tends to lean towards more time. I keep a good relationship with my ex-wife, with the exception of the odd disagreement, maybe once or twice a year. We get along well, and we co-parent to the best of our abilities. I'm pissing off the geese again. All right, I hear you. I'm not trying to get in your way. So, I'm a regular guy. I was a regular fat guy and a regular fat sick guy. And now I'm I almost avoided saying it because I didn't realize it was this true until just now. I'm a very healthy guy. I'm not extremely fit, but I can do things that a fit guy can do. You'll see in my workout, I guess I'm doing 2 laps. I made it all the way around again. 4 total. I just want to prove to people that are potentially in the same position, maybe, middle of the road income or lower income, or, like me, significantly overweight and struggling to get off the couch, struggling to find the motivation, struggling to feel like they're capable or that anything's going to help. I'm showing you my path. Now, is my path for everybody? Maybe, maybe not. I think it is. I think if people have a strong enough why, if their reasoning for doing this is strong enough, if they're sick and tired of feeling sick, if they're sick and tired of feeling pain, if they're sick and tired of pumping medications into their body, ending up in hospitals, ending up at doctor's office, ending up with IVs, and for me personally, being told you're going to be, we're shocked that you're not on a ventilator, and having not only horrendous surgeries, but embarrassing health issues, embarrassing surgeries, and painful recoveries, and a week at a time in critical care unit. These are things that push you to your breaking point, and you either get in a fight or you give up. And the disease, the illness, the weight, the heart issues, the depression, the lack of mobility, the wrong type of foods, the seed oils, the artery damage, eventually take you down. Now for you, that's the end of the story. But if you have children, if you have loved ones, if you have friends, even if you don't think you have any of those things, I promise you, you're breaking somebody's heart. And I promise you, it's probably somebody you care about. For me, it was my son. When and my girlfriend as well. I shouldn't say just my son. My girlfriend means the world to me. She's super supportive. She's an amazing person. She has a huge heart. She balances her time between taking care of me and rescuing animals and some insects in the neighborhood. She doesn't have a lot of means because she is disabled, and she does the best she can, but she has the heart of a lion, and she does all that her body will allow her to do to make a difference in these stray animals' lives. My son, I went 2 different paths in my life. I adopted my ex-wife's son and raised him as my own, and 10 years later I had my own son, and I love them both. But I don't have the relationship with my adopted son that I have with my son, my son, because of the strain between myself and his mother early on in the divorce. So that's sad, but it is what it is. But seeing my son, Donovan, seeing my genetics in him, seeing him, looking at him and seeing myself, and more than anything else, looking at him and seeing my father on a minute-by-minute basis, his facial expressions, the way his eyes move, some of his habits that he picked up, that he never even met my father, so how he picked up these strange habits that my father had. I'll give you an example. My father would eat a pancake like a taco with a slab of butter in it. It was like the slab of butter was like the meat of the taco, and the pancake was the tortilla. No syrup, no knife and fork, just a slab of butter, folded a pancake, and went to town. I took Dom to a diner. I have a picture on my phone somewhere of him at that diner that day, and he ordered pancakes, and he didn't touch the syrup. He didn't ask for powdered sugar on it. He didn't do any of that. He just, out of the blue, sliced a piece of butter, threw it on his pancake, folded it like a taco, and ate it. He could have knocked me over with a feather. I asked him, where the heck did you get that from? Where did you? And he thought I was teasing him. And he's like, I don't know, I just wanted to do it. I thought it would be good. I said, do you like it? He said, yeah, I actually kind of do. And then I explained to him why I was so shocked. I know some animals have, genetic memory. They know where to go to mate. They know where to go to feed. They know where to go to hunt, based on what their families did. But they don't have the memory from their family. It's just a genetic, like birds get up and fly south. It's just what they do. My son, every once in a while, makes me think we have that also. A genetic memory. That's my little coined phrase. That's not an actual thing, I don't think, but I'm going to say it is. So, I'm all over the map, and I'm sorry, but I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the new subscribers. For a little while, I kind of felt like I was talking to myself, which is fine. I like the sound of my own voice. But it's nice to know that people actually hear my story and find it inspiring, or find it interesting, to say the least. And as far as the comments on Dave Mack's videos and the private messages and comments on my videos I've received since I started the channel, and even more so now that I did the Dave Mack podcast, thank you, everybody. It's been nothing but positive. And I watch a lot of YouTube for content as far as carnivore, and like I've said, I'm a car guy, so there's a dozen or so car video shows that I watch of guys creating content, working on old cars. And I read the comments. It's kind of fun for me. Very rarely see all positive comments, and the carnivore community has come out, from my perspective, in herds to support my struggle, to support my emotional reasoning for starting this diet, and for being part of a common goal, to be one voice. We take a lot of flack as carnivores for our choice of eating. We take a lot of flack from people who don't necessarily understand the choices we're making, or their lifestyle. Just not to point them out, but just as a comparison, their lifestyle being as drastically different as, say, a vegan lifestyle. That they assume that because we live the style that we live, that it's an affront to the style they live. And we're not innocent in this. I see carnivores going on the attack of vegans all the time. And it's not necessarily my style, but I understand. When you feel so strongly about something and you're passionate, it's easy to get your signals crossed. But as a community, we should focus on supporting each other, pushing each other, and motivating each other to keep in the fight and to be the healthiest we can. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of anecdotal evidence, no, not evidence, a lot of anecdotes that are starting to look like evidence, because there's thousands and thousands of them saying that carnivore is doing all these great things. But scientifically, neither us or vegans or I hate to even say it, the sugar diet, which scares the bejesus out of me, has any real scientific evidence backing their play. For the most part, it's weak studies because of the limitations on human trials. You know, if you're convinced that meat causes cancer, I'm not really sure it's ethical or legal to lock a bunch of people in a room and feed them nothing but meat. And on the flip side, if you think that vegetables don't give you enough nutrients and don't give the body what it needs, then I don't know that it's necessarily ethical to lock people in a room and control all the details of their life and feed them vegetables. So we're gonna do what we do. We're all gonna hope that's the right path and it keeps us healthy. But what I will say is, if this diet is gonna be the reason that takes me down, but I get to feel the way I feel right now based on what I'm eating and the lifestyle choices I've made, I'll take this over every other choice I've made to this point. All right, y'all, I've taken enough of your time. Go enjoy your day, and as always, stay healthy.